Hey, I'm Sean. I started mensgroup.com. I've led thousands of men's groups over the last 15, 20 years. Partook, partook in many men's groups, traveled to see other men's groups. I also mingle a fair bit with other men's group leaders and leaders of other men's personal growth organizations. And so, uh, you know, I feel like I got some good perspective on what actually happens in a men's group and what can you expect from a men's group, you know? And it's a very confusing thing. 96% of the guys coming into a men's group have never done anything like this. They're just normal guys, you know, that you probably know from your town or your work, like yourself, that have just hit a place where they're in foreign territory with a life situation where they're unsure how to handle it. And many of the guys are in therapy or considering therapy, and they like the idea of just having a bunch of guys to bounce off questions and ideas that they come across. A lot of guys end up going to therapy, and then they use the men's group to talk through some things they learn there, and then they take the ideas back to therapy, and so it works really well together. That's why we get so many referrals from therapists. And ultimately, how a men's group works is like this. You know, you show up and you reserve your spot. First of all, you let the group leader know you're coming, or in men's group you get access, and then you decide on which meeting you want to go to, whatever works for you, and then you show up, and then the host will welcome you individually as you come in. In an in-person men's group, that'll be at the door. You know, shake your hand, say thanks for coming, nice to see you here. Have a little chat with you, make you feel comfortable. Then you go and grab a seat. And for that first 30 seconds, it can feel a little bit awkward, you know, because you're just sitting there with a bunch of other guys in a circle. Even the seating setup can be a little bit intimidating, just like sitting there, feeling exposed, a little confused and scared about what's going to happen next. But you know, guys will be making small talk, and some of the guys already know each other, and they might ask you a few questions to get to know you a little bit. Then the leader takes over. He'll lay down the rules and the expectations. He'll lay out the format of how it's going to go. Often it's things like, hey, if you know, here's the time limits for your intro or your update. Here's what's going to happen if you ramble. We need to be respectful of each other in these ways, etc., etc. And then yeah, in a lot of men's groups, there's some sort of component of everybody gets a chance to bring up a topic that they want to get into. So whether that's giving the guys an intro if you're new, or the existing guys that have been there for a while will give an update on their life. That's really valuable. Just one by one going around the circle, having a few minutes to share what's going on with you or why you're here. And then after that, often there will be some topics that pop up from that initial round, and then what ends up happening is those lead to 2 or 3 different really impactful discussions. And other men's groups will have questions, topics presented. Some are like topic specific in the sense they'll be working through a certain book, like No More Mr. Nice Guy or something like that. Nonviolent communication, these kinds of things, and they'll work through the exercises together. But generally, the vast majority, I'd say 95% of the men's groups I've been, are just a place to allow guys to talk. And so often the group leader, if they're good at what they do, they'll call on somebody who's not new like you first. They'll call on somebody who's experienced to set the tone. So that person might go, hi, I'm Jim. I'm here because I'm going through divorce. As the guys here know, it's been difficult. The ex-wife hasn't been wanting to sign the papers, and it's been difficult on the kids. I'm trying to show up for them while trying to take care of myself. And he'll give this update, and he might bring up at the end of that something he might be facing, like, hey, I got presented with divorce papers, but it feels unfair. Has anybody been through something like this? You know? And then the leader will go, thank you. Okay, and he'll log the question, and then they'll go to the next person. The next person might talk about, hey, I came in with some money and I don't know what to do with it. Or, hey, I'm somebody who's never set goals, and I keep hearing about how good goals are. I want to do that. Or hey, I've got a porn addiction, and can anybody relate? All the guys will put their hands up. And you know, I think a key thing you can expect from this is that you'll be able to relate to a lot of the topics that come up from other people, and a surprising amount of people will be able to relate to yours as well. And because I think this is because we feel so alone with our problems, but the reality is actually that we all kind of share the same five problems, right? Relationships of different kinds, uh, finances, uh, emotions, and mindset. These kinds of things. So there's stuff we can take away from another man's discussion about his relationship, even if we're not in the exact same situation. So every guy will go around the group and give an update or an intro, and then later what'll happen is, you'll get into 2 or 3 really good 10-minute to half an hour discussions, and then you're at the end of the 2 hours, and often these things will end on a gratitude circle, just guys saying what they appreciated about the meeting. And that's it. Often there's a communication channel for members who are attending regularly, like a WhatsApp group, which is nice because that allows you to reach out to guys one-on-one. And what I found is in all groups I've been to, for the most part, there's at least one guy that I'm like, oh, I like his vibe. I like how he talks about things. He'd be a good influence for me right now. And then if I follow that impulse to connect with him, it will lead to very positive things. So often I'll walk away with a group, even if I don't resonate with the whole group, it will end up, I'll walk away with a couple supportive friendships that I can explore there. Doesn't matter if it's in a church basement, a community center, a hotel conference room, somebody's living room, somebody's garage, online, in a big group, online in a small group. Typically that's how it sorts out. And just like if you were to walk into your neighborhood social house, like a pub or coffee shop, right? Like the reality is the majority of people, probably 95%, 98% of people in there, you're not going to like or vibe with, Maybe it's like 20% you really don't like, 30% they're okay, you can get along with them, have a drink with them or whatever. 30%, oh, they're cool. And then there's like 5% where you're like, oh, wow, those people are like me, or I could see something mutually beneficial there. Any social situation like this is the same, where it's like, yeah, you kind of got to realize that you're not going to get along with everybody, and there's going to be some characters that rub you the wrong way, and that's okay. That's okay. It doesn't mean you need to write off the whole men's group. Because even if you start your own group, eventually people are going to start inviting people, and there's going to be people you don't like. And often what I've found is that, counter to my expectations of what a men's group's going to be, it's actually the guys that rub me the wrong way that I end up often learning the most from, because they have different perspectives and different points of view. So what that can look like is I show up, I do the meeting, my first meeting, I'm like, okay, that was all right. I'll come back to the next one just because I need this kind of support. I come back to the next one, and then all of a sudden this guy who I was agitated and irritated with the first couple meetings is now the guy who's like, all of a sudden come out of left field and give me some really good feedback and guidance. So that's great. Another question I get asked about expectations as far as what's happening in a men's group is like, are you guys just crying a lot, or is there tons of emotions expressed and stuff? And the answer is, no, not really, not always. There's a lot of information sharing, there's a lot of guys relating to each other, but this isn't a hand-holding kumbaya circle. And there's a lot of tough masculine feedback as well, which I'll touch on in a second. But you will see guys get emotional. I've been emotional in men's groups when talking about some of the things I'm facing. That's normal, but that's not the primary focus, despite how the media projects it to be. I found that in 80% of the men's groups I've attended, guys aren't really getting that emotional. It's just more of they're expressing themselves, and you might feel the sadness in their tone of voice or in their body language, or you might feel the confusion or the anxiety, but it's not like, every group is a group of softies that are just like super touchy and overly emotional in a non-productive way, if that makes sense. I hesitate to say it like that because emotional expression is positive, but there is a line where like if guys just repeat their stories or they're constantly getting really emotional about their stories, then what happens is it just reinforces the pattern and sort of neural programming and all that. So yeah, and then there's the flip side. The other question I get asked is, well, are guys like telling each other what to do, and are they kind of being hard on each other, like maybe my dad was? And the answer is like no. A good men's group leader won't allow that either. I mean, a good rule in the men's groups to look for is like, don't tell people what to do. So if some guy is asking for a question about relationships, instead of telling him you need to do this, even though I'm pretty sure that's what he needs to do from my perspective, I could be wrong, but some things I've experienced with where I'm like, I think I know what you need to do. Instead of saying it like that, I'll say it like, well, thanks for sharing. I can relate. In my experience, here's what I did, and here's what I learned. Here are the lessons learned. Here's what I wish I did, and take from that what you will. That serves two purposes. Number one, it's a bit presumptuous to tell people what to do because we don't have the full picture, even if you know them pretty well through a men's group, and they're on a different journey and their life is different. Number two, telling people what to do puts them on the defense. So, good men's group leaders will know when a little bit of healthy, masculine, supportive challenge is a good thing. Like, hey, I think you can do better or whatever. But then also, like, the step past there where people start telling each other what to do can be really counterproductive. And I've met guys from all walks of life in men's groups. That being said, I have been surprised how many like working professionals, like guys that are doing well by society's standards, have been in different men's groups, and how they're making good money and they've got a wife and kids and they've got their pals that they go watch sports with or do whatever with, and they have coworkers that they get along with. But then when adversity strikes or when they run into a subject in life they don't know what to do, they look around and there's nobody they feel comfortable talking to. So I think especially for guys that have followed a conventional path, and then they end up in this place where it's not serving them like that. I was surprised with the amount of successful guys that were in men's groups, to be honest. We've had investment bankers and lawyers, doctors, celebrities, athletes, like a lot of guys that just like don't feel safe in their current environment, which makes sense because there's a lot to lose if you're successful, and those fields are often competitive. So I guess it makes sense that they would feel less likely to share than maybe somebody who isn't. Although that's definitely on a case-by-case basis. And and the other thing I didn't expect about men's groups that I love about them is how much humor there is. So a good group leader and good group mates will find laughs within the heavy things. Because I think you need that, right? If you just show up and it's just like heavy the whole time, there's a point where that's not constructive. Versus if it's heavy and then we can have a laugh about it, kind of releases some of the pressure. So I really like those kinds of men's groups, and they are out there. Some men's groups are more committal and they push commitment. You got to be there. Others are like an open door. I like somewhere in the middle, more towards open door. Like, I'm going to come here when I need it kind of thing. Because I think it's how we're naturally wired. Like, I wish we could get guys to commit in men's group for every single meeting, but it's just not realistic. And it's not realistic in my own life. And so we'll just work with that. A good men's group will do that. Also, like, the best men's groups I've been in, there's not a lot of like talk about masculinity or these concepts around being a man. It's more just like people bringing up personal experiences, adversities, challenges they're facing in life. If there's too much of that, like, what is masculinity and what is masculinity today, and the challenges with masculinity today, and the problem with the feminist, you get into I don't know. Weird masculinity stuff. It's like, I don't know, it just feels counterproductive at a point. But there's lots of groups that also focus on that stuff if that's your flavor of interest. And and all this applies to if you're starting a men's group as well. Like, I don't I've started so many men's groups. I started mensgroup.com. We have thousands of guys, and we run hundreds and hundreds of meetings a month uh, um, for guys all over the world. And starting is the same. You're gonna end up with the same challenges, same dynamics. If you want it to be a long-term thing, people are gonna come and go. I guess that's another thing to expect is that like there will be people that will just use the group to dump their stuff and then they won't come back. And that can be sad and frustrating. But then there's also a key few guys and usually a core group in a group of like usually has 10, 12, 15 attendees, 8 attendees. Usually there'll be 3 or 4 that are they're really in it. And so you just got to look for a group that has that key core and not take personally like when guys come and go. I'd also expect it to be like one of the most beneficial things that you'll ever do with your life. You know, I've been doing these things for a long time, but especially when I started, it was like they really like hearing from their grown men how they're handling things is something I didn't have growing up, you know? Like I got no guidance at all around emotional matters, around relational matters. My parents were basically incompetent with that stuff. I think a lot of guys lack that kind of guidance. I think men's groups appeal to guys like that. The good news is that we all have holes in wisdom and adversity and guidance in different parts of our lives. So like really, you know, it works out beneficially where somewhere the guy kind of doesn't know how to navigate, other guys will be strong and vice versa. So it's not really a case of blind leading the blind. But I think it is that we men just didn't have a lot of guidance, and so we need that. And when I started getting it, like, I think that's when I started to really mature, make better decisions for myself, emotionally mature, and be able to handle. My life just got incrementally better ever since I started doing the men's groups. It's just such a valuable thing to be able to take the issues that I have running into that are emotional and feel like pressure and I have a hard time dealing with. We all have those things. And to take them to a group of people that have experience with that kind of stuff has just been so impactful in a positive way. My relationships got better. My experience of being in my body and myself got better. My relationship to my emotions got better. My communication got better. I'm able to set boundaries with people really well now. I'm no longer a nice guy. My addictions have settled down, you know. My health's got better, on and on and on. Financially, things have gotten a lot better. So if you're still here, I'd encourage you to give any kind of a men's group a try. Church basement, community center, some guy's garage, online. There's lots of online groups like at mensgroup.com. You can just tune in for a month and it's like a fraction of what therapy costs and that could be the change you're looking for, you know? So it's a really masculine winner thing to do, to like identify issues and then look for tools that can help, especially in the sensitive areas like this, personal matters. And you know, a lot of guys want to have the answers to everything, and we feel inadequate if we don't. So looking for a tool to help you get those answers can feel uncomfortable, but it really can be one of the biggest steps you'll ever take to your own growth and well-being and fulfillment. All right, hopefully that helps you with what to expect in a men's group. If you're curious about our men's groups, you can find them over at mensgroup.com. We have so many lovely group leaders and thousands of members, and the guys are just, it's a really positive, supportive environment there. And there's lots of organizations like that out there. So I wish you the best, and I'll talk to you soon.